My name is Brenda Bennett, and I'm a California certified florist. I'm also currently a student at the College of San Mateo, receiving a certificate in floristry. I wanted to do this documentary on horticulture and the floristry programs because as it comes to a close after 7 decades, I felt it was important for the College of San Mateo Historical Archives to have a record of our program, that we were here and to tell our story. Throughout history, the act of telling stories is a tradition people have shared with one another to pass along information and create community. As creative people, we often don't seek the limelight. My intention is for you, the viewer, to share some of these moments in time with our interviewees, along with all the wonderful people in our community. I hope it makes you smile. Enjoy.
I started in our horticulture and floristry and working with flowers and enjoying flowers because of my husband's help. He had cancer and was going through absolutely horrific chemo, and I was hovering too much over him. He got tired of me, and knowing that I really wanted to learn flower arrangements, signed me up with Ikebana classes, which I am still enjoying very much.
I got started in horticulture and floristry because a friend of mine and my husband's had a boutique floral business, and she did some arrangements which my husband purchased for me. The first arrangement was for a dining room table that we had just bought, our first dining room table since we were married, and the second arrangement was roses for Valentine's Day. And in both cases, the arrangements that she prepared were so professional, but yet so creative and edgy and so unusually different than any kind of a like FTD type of a bouquet that I was amazed. So I asked her where she went to school, and she told me that she attended College of San Mateo.
I started in floristry in 1996 when I was a newly widowed and needed to work at something that I liked to do. And like most of my former students, found that it was very soothing and gave me an artistic outlet as well as a business outlet. I started in retail floristry in Sacramento and Davis and was ultimately the owner of 2 shops in Davis, California, before I started my teaching career at College of San Mateo in 1992.
When I started as a teenager, my mom's friend had a laundromat in the Mission District in San Francisco, just a small little thing, and she used to sell buckets of flowers, fresh flowers, out on the front to like people just walking by, and I always like, ooh, color, ooh, different forms of the flowers, and I asked her if I could like work there or help her on the weekends, and it was kind of cool. That's how I started in the floral industry. And I saw, when I graduated high school, I saw in the College of San Mateo program, I'm from the Peninsula, I saw there was a floristry program, and it was Saturday morning, but I was like, well, all right, I'll do it. I'll wake up and give up my Friday night and go to class Saturday morning for like 4 hours. Geez, I was like, 17, 18 years old, but I did it. And it was interesting. It was the age bracket was a lot different. I thought my classmates were older than me. They were all in their second hobby, or inspiration as in florals, but I stuck it through, and here I am now.
I have to blame my father for that. He took me out when I was a boy, walking in the countryside, and although he was an athlete and a great all-rounder, he was also interested in nature. So he would identify all the wild plants and flowers on our walks. And I think that's where the seed was planted for my future career.
I didn't realize what the horticulture and floristry program would mean to me at the very beginning. I truly thought it was just going to be a hobby, something fun to do, take a class here and there, but I absolutely just fell in love, and what it has given me is a sense of community, a great sense of being a part of something, and sharing my passion with people who have the same passion.
And one of my favorite things about working in this program is having new students come in and watch them go from terror of using a knife in the first class to becoming so creative and amazingly artistic at the end of the program. They get their confidence. It's just amazing. I love it.
The forestry department, where I devoted much of my time. I went there soon after my son died, and it gave me an outlet to pour myself into, which is what I did.
I was a scientist for most of my life, and I kind of used my left brain for most of that time. And all of a sudden I got exposed to the art of floral design. And it really is a 3D art form, except you're using flowers instead of clay, for example. And it actually made me use the right side of my brain. And I just found that I was a different person because of that. Maybe, and I can't really explain it very well, but just studying an art form along with my science just gave me dimension to my life.
After taking flower arrangement class, I realized that art, and doesn't matter what you're doing, flower arrangement or photography or painting, the basic principles are all quite similar, if it's not the same. So, after taking flower arrangement classes, it makes me appreciate other part of the art even deeper.
So I have an AA degree in horticulture from the College of San Mateo. I got it back in 1980 at a time when it was hard to find jobs in the green industry. I was fortunate enough to be able to go out and find a job at Redwood City Nursery, and I worked there for about 2 years. And if I hadn't had the education and the self-confidence that the program gave me, I wouldn't have been able to go out there and apply for that job. Once I had the job, I was able to get trained on that job, start my own business, which I had for about 10 years, and then I was able to start teaching part-time at the College of San Mateo that eventually became a full-time position.
This program has taught me the principles and elements of designs that I didn't have when I was working with the floral designer and event planner. When I was working for her, she just kind of told me where things should go, and I just put them and made them look pretty, like I thought they looked pretty. But this program has definitely given me the tools that I've needed to start my own business and to challenge myself into becoming a better designer than I was when I first started.
When I originally started with CSM, it was truly just for fun, for my own fulfillment and enrichment. But the teachers, the instructors who are extremely talented, very passionate about the design and teaching, pushed me hard enough and whet my appetite to learn more and more. And it became for me not just my own flower arrangement, but much more passionate thing, and changed my life in many ways. I never planned to become a floral designer. I never planned for fourth career in my life, and all of a sudden I am in the middle of building a new business.
As a graduate of the College of San Mateo Floristry program, I have been able to have many, many different jobs and try out many different venues. I've worked both as a retail florist in small businesses. I've also worked in boutique and event businesses for friends who own those businesses. And I've also done the flowers for both of my daughters' weddings, and I have done parties such as my brother-in-law's gala 50th birthday party up in Napa. So being a graduate of this program has enabled me to have a lot of various careers. And I'd have to say that even as an RN, I have used my skills learned at this department for what I would call flower therapy. I have taken care of some Alzheimer's patients, and as a part of just making them feel a little bit more connected to life and to nature, I've brought in flowers and helped them make arrangements, and it's brought a lot of joy to their lives. It's really been quite a phenomenal experience.
As a result of going to CSM, I've obviously started in my own business and was successful in the Bay Area, and now I've moved it up into Northern California. But what I think I'm most grateful for is the program opening my eyes to a new way of looking at the world, seeing the world in textures, the world in color, giving me goals that I could actually see and work for, and having all the support that I had from my instructors there, and then also when I went on to teach there myself, to have the support and the enthusiasm that all the students were giving back to me was really helped to feed me and in my life, and just help me to go on and make me appreciate that I did have a nice gift that I could share with people and that they appreciated it also.
My experience over here at the horticulture program means a lot. I learned a lot about plants that I didn't know before, and also the plants is my life. The plant is where I can survive, because without our plants we will be dead.
Well, just like everything in life, it's growing, you know. You grow from the moment you're born till the moment you pass on to the happy hunting ground. And horticulture, the same thing, you know. And one of my philosophy behind teaching was to bring students on, you know. Don't make the thing so complicated or so difficult that they dropped out. And I think that's a very satisfactory way of doing it, especially horticulture. And many students have stayed with the program and become successful. Landscape contractors, parks employees, pest control people. You know, even now I still meet students after 20 years of retirement. So I believe in gradually bringing people forward and not being too hard on them right off the reel.
I have so many different stories that I could relate because I've been in the floral industry for approximately 32 plus years. But there are a couple of them that have really stood out in my mind. And the first one was when I was designing a wedding and I set up the flowers and I was putting boutonnieres on everybody, and I was just down to the last two, the father of the bride and the groom. And this gentleman walks up to me, and he's, you know, old and has gray hair, and he comes up to me and I go, "Oh, you must be the father of the bride. Let me pin your boutonniere on you." And he looks at me and he goes, "I don't think so." He goes, "I'm the groom. You made a big mistake, lady." And I just went, "Uh-oh." and laughed. I mean, what else are you going to do? But that story always reminds me, every time I pin boutonnieres on gentlemen now at weddings, I make sure that I don't ask if they're the father or the groom or the bride. I just ask them what they are in the party and pin the boutonniere on.
One of the most humorous things I thought was we attracted quite a lot of docents from Filoli, you know, the young women that guide the visitors around. And quite a few of them have large gardens. And I remember one of them, I've forgotten her name now, but she had a garden up in Skyline. And she was very excited that her husband had bought her a birthday present. And I asked her what the birthday present was. She said it was 2 yards of composted horse manure. So I thought, gee, that's kind of cute.
I think one of the most unique experiences that I have had as an instructor and designer was to have students consistently come up to me and look me in the eye and thank me and hug me and tell me how much I had changed their lives, and how being exposed to the College of San Mateo program and having the support of the teachers and the encouragement really put them on a new path and new directions and new insights into their own lives, you know, very similar to what I had experienced. So to be able to share that with others was indeed a unique experience for me, something I would not have been able to do otherwise if I had not gone through the program.
I don't want to go into graphic detail, but as you know, a flower is the reproductive organ of the plant. So it's very hard when you're teaching not to come into to say graphic descriptions of some of the ways flowers, let's say, do their thing. And the laughter that you get from the class is always really tremendous. So it's a happy experience to teach about flowers.
Another one that I think is really funny, it might be a little bit out there for people that aren't in the floral industry, but you work with a lot of sorrow and grief, and you work with happiness in this industry. And one time when I was young, very young, and my boss sent me up to the funeral home to put flowers on the casket. And it was an open casket, and I was supposed to place flowers in the woman's hand. And she sent her daughter with me, and we were both, like, I think like 18, terrified because we'd never, you know, been to the funeral home in the quiet, and there was nobody there and everything. And we walk up there really quiet, and we're fighting with each other on who has to put the flowers in this lady's hand. And the lady had really long red fingernails. This is in the 80s, you know, and and we're both arguing about it, and it's very quiet there, and nobody's around and everything, and we're still arguing, and all of a sudden we hear this boo behind us, and we both almost jumped into the casket with this lady, almost, because it was the funeral director, and he thought that was the funniest thing he'd ever seen. And he told me, he goes, "You don't have to worry about those people. It's the live ones that are going to get you." And I just always remember that. It was definitely an experience.
My favorite flower is probably a Gerbera daisy. And the funny thing is that whenever I am asked what my favorite flower is, I always say that, but there's always the anthuriums and daisies.
Hydrangeas. Hydrangeas come in all colors. Hydrangeas come in pink, blue, violet, white. They come in my favorite lime green.
Dawn Redwood's fun for me because it's a beautiful tree, it's got a great history, and it's just a fun story.
A lot of times people ask me what my favorite flower is, and it's a Watsonia. And if you have not seen Watsonia, if you live in Half Moon Bay, you've seen it. It's a long, spiky flower, and it's an unusual flower, but it always does remind me of the coastside, and it's a very delicate flower. And a lot of people will say, "Watsonia, what's that?" So my answer to them is, look it up.
It depends on the season and my mood, because every time I see a flower, that's the one that's my favorite.
Probably the most favorite, if I can say that, are calla lilies.
My most favorite flower to design with are tulips. They have a personality all to themselves. You can manipulate them as much as you like and come back the next day and they're totally different. And I really love that about them. It's probably a little bit of me in tulips too.
My current favorite flower, I would have to say, is the leucadendrons.
I used to like tropical flowers a lot, but now that I'm working with flowers every week, you know, it changes from season to season.
There's not really a favorite flower that I have. I love flowers and what they mean.
My favorite plant's ficus. Why? Because it's like you can see always green. Ficus you can put inside your room or office or hallway or at anywhere you can see all the time, green all the time. So green for me, it's life. If you see something green, that you have something life.
I would have to say that all flowers are my favorite.
Thanks to all the people that made this possible, and you know who you are. I want to let you know that I was truly touched and inspired by all your heartfelt stories. Thank you so much.